Yes, sir. Sure. In regardless to the homeless and their relevance between, how police officers view them and how cities and then how citizens, because they're three different segments. The police pretty much react according to what we're told. Somebody called about a homeless person or the city has some issue. We want people moved from one place to another for development reasons. And then you have the community. And within a lot of towns, some of these people actually do live or they're from the cities that they're homeless in, and they have family members there. So these people get thrown into a pool called homeless. Well, you've got family members that don't want to be bothered with them because they've got a drug habit or they have whatever. So if the family says, I don't want to do anything with that, well, then we have shelters and places for them, but they're limited spaces. Then you have the cities that develop programs in addressing the homeless, whether they're ordinances, whether they're social programs. And a lot of times the concepts of these programs, I think people sit down and they visualize that it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it's an April day and the sun is shining and it's 75 degrees, no wind, and everything is perfect. So this program will work. But when I come to work, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, it's 27 degrees, and there's ice on the ground, and your program is worthless. How much input goes in to a lot of these programs? I know the people say, well, we spoke with the police administration. The police administration is not on the street. And it's amazing, if anyone ever went in and officers were truly, truly honest, the police administration's concept of what's going on the streets usually is not even close to what the officers on the street know the real deal is. But you don't have that dialogue. But to go back to the homeless, they just get moved and sheltered around and moved and sheltered around. And the community sees them as they're a big inconvenience when they infiltrate my space. As long as they're over there, that's fine. But now they're getting too close to my space. You've got to separate out who is truly homeless. They had a catastrophe. They've got PTSD. They've got something that's a condition that's not by their own choosing. And homelessness is the result of the culmination of those events. And then who's just someone that chose to do drugs and chose to have a lifestyle that's self-destructive. And they got that they deserve. So even within it, first let's break down what is a homeless person. Some people are homeless because they want to be. They don't want that address. But I think even within officers, you see on TV sometimes these people are picked out and victimized. And if you want those people to move, there are ways you can make them move. There are a lot of things you can do that don't involve having to wrestle with them, having to fight with them. And I'm not saying there aren't some incidents where you have to do that. But a lot of times, you can go in your pocket and go buy them a pack of cigarettes and say, hey, man, if I give you these, can you pack your camp up and go? They're going to go. And if you get an officer, why should I have to pay him to leave? Well, because you're going to go down the street to the diner and you're going to eat a $15, $16 meal, probably for free or half off. How much do you bring out? Do you even know these people? A lot of them, when you can call them out by name and you know them, that to them is the biggest thing in the world. That somebody knows them and identifies with them. We want to do for them Christmas. Every city in America is out there on Christmas wanting to do it. Thanksgiving, when we get the temperatures dropping, the homeless need blankets, or the homeless are hungry. Well, they're probably hungry every night. So then I say, where do the churches fit into there? What's their responsibility? I mean, that lines up, whether you're Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, that lines right up with whatever your deity believes. Where are you at in it? But we'll take this problem and we're going to sit it over here with the police, let them deal with it, along with the crime, along with crime prevention, along with other social issues that are going on. How many of these homeless people have mental conditions? They need to talk to a psychiatrist, a psychologist. If you spend a minute and talk to them, maybe they don't know that they need that. How many of them haven't had their medicine, haven't had their prescription? How many of them are veterans? But you have to get out of your car and meet these people. You got to meet them where they're at. They're not going to come to the police department and ask for help. You got to go to where they are. And if it's in your area, that's where you're paid to be. I mean, I'm paid to take care of the most elite citizen here and the one whose society will call nothing. I make the same amount of money dealing with both of them. In regards to the responsibilities with the homeless that are put on us, we'll just look at the mental health consumer issue, which most police departments will tell you that is one of the single most expensive things that we've got. Now, in the daytime, for instance, here in Texas, we have MHMR, you have various facilities where you're with them, you call, they send an agent over, that agent interacts with them, boom, you're back out on the street. Now, I've worked nights for over 20-some years. All those agencies close at 5 o'clock. And it's not just where I'm at. I mean, cities across this country, these midnight officers don't have anybody to call and sit with this suicidal person or to sit with this person who's threatening suicide. Departments have to pay these officers to sit there. And so people say, well, why did my house get broken into? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Where was the officer? Well, I was sitting for 10, 12, 14 hours with a suicidal person at the hospital until they get evaluated by a doctor and get a place to go in limited bed space. And then when I went home, guess what? Another officer had to come in either on overtime or on the other shift, and they had to go sit there with them, sometimes 2 or 3 days. So you don't even have officers that are on the street because we're dealing with the suicidal person at a hospital where we have to sit there with them. So you're paying me basically to sit with one person. I'm not out there preventing crime or reacting to other things. I'm there. I'm not saying that it's not needed. I'm saying is how can legislators and other people look at the numbers and look at practical application of resources, and that's what we are. Whether we like to believe it or not, we're a resource. We're a chess piece to be put where it can be put for the maximum effectiveness and service to the community. So if I'm sitting 10, 12, 14 hours in an emergency room, just there with a suicidal person or somebody that overdosed, just sitting there 14 hours, what did you get out of me? 14 hours, one person. Where were these agencies? Why is it that you can't call somebody? And we have people that come out and sometimes they will talk to these people and they'll say, no, they don't need to be evaluated because we don't make that decision. But if the person says, well, I'm hearing voices and I want to kill myself and I've tried before, well, I got to sit there in the hospital with them 12 or 14 hours. And that's a pet peeve of a lot of officers. It is frustrating because it's what we're paid to do, yes, but you're looking at all the other things that you could be doing. And sometimes you wonder, does management understand it? Yes, your first level management understands, and maybe even your administration understands. But you get into the political ballpark, nobody wants to touch that. When it leaves the police world and gets into the political world, nobody wants to be the bad guy that says you're going to have your people at whatever social service work longer hours. They need to come out and relieve this because our officers don't need to be sitting in emergency rooms for 12, 14 hours with a non-combative person when they could be on the street doing other things.